We're there.
Yeah, so we should be live now. Sorry guys for the technical issues. We have finally online, and I hope we have some of our great students to hear Samuel Opeo, who is all the way in Kampala, Uganda at the moment. And he is the founder of Queer Youth Uganda, which was founded in 2006. And he's currently the director, and he's one of the key LGBTI activists in Uganda. And I will hand over the floor to Sam.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Anna. I'm happy to be with you guys today. As you might have heard, my name is Samuel Opio. I am live in Uganda. And yeah, I'm happy to give you a small lecture for now. I'm sorry about the technical issues, but I think we will quickly go straight. Can we introduce ourselves if possible? Yes. Can you hear me? Can they hear me?
Sam, so they can see you, Sam, but they can't see you, and they won't be able to talk. So you just have to talk to the students, but they can see you. So when they want to ask questions, then they will write, and then we will be out there. So
all right,
they will be there.
Yeah. Okay. Anna has already told you about what I do and who I am. I am one of those top activists here in Uganda. I started this activism work from 2002 nearly, when I was still a young student. Been doing all this kind of work, especially for a country like Uganda, with all these laws, which actually was a terrible law. Most of you must have heard about it. And also, there are also other laws, probably like bill promoting work of the sexual minority to operate in a free environment in a country like this, because you will need actually to seek for permission from the LC and then from the police to allow you a space to organize a workshop or to organize a training. There is public management bill, which is a dangerous thing, but also it also goes up to the politicians as well. So in an environment like this, it's not an easy space for people to express themselves and work in a free world. For example, like where I was able to express myself, move to schools and give lectures to students at school. And then I was feeling like this is actually a very comprehensive and different together. But we have been working very closely to see that some of these laws actually come to limelight. Some of these laws should be broken down. Some of these laws should be domesticated in order for people to enjoy the right and freedom of expression. So what do I do in my work? Basically, I work for the young people, here in Uganda, and also across the continent. And Africa is it's almost all the same. Also, when you look at Nigeria, as we have some laws like this, but our work through advocacy, we have managed actually to reach somewhere where some of these laws are being immune a bit, so that people are able to move freely and try to work where necessary. But still, the work it's not actually it's not easy to work in an environment like this. In Uganda, I'm getting to in small groups because, as you know, everybody is a bit scared of the laws because there is a law which says if they find you being that, you can be arrested and be taken to prison for either 15 years or life imprisonment or even death penalty. So it's our duty to make sure that we try as much as possible that we make sure that a lot of LGBTI community people get sensitized. We try to provide a lot of information as far as a right to freedom is concerned, a right to assembly is concerned, a right to exist as any other Ugandan basing on our constitution of Uganda is concerned. So there is a lot, much more things we do here, but we do all these kinds of things under tough conditions. There is a lot of things to do with harassment, public harassment. People beat us left and right. There is a lot of evictions here and there, and this is all a sign of persecution. Normally, when people talk about persecutions, they think that you can be persecuted when you have been arrested and taken to prison, or when you have been arrested and taken to jail. But it's not enough, because if you look at the lifestyle of the gay and lesbian community here in Uganda is a very deteriorated. The young people actually have decided to leave the country just because they fear for their lifestyle. Some of them who actually try to stay around, they can stay, but it's like some out of families simply because of their sexual orientation and gender identity. Most of them have been dropped out of school because the families actually fear to be arrested because of the bad laws. So once the family gets to know about this, the family rejects you, you get disowned by the family. After rejection, of course, the family will discontinue from paying your school fees. These are all signs of persecutions. Now, what will happen to this kind of young people? They either end up in the streets, become sex workers, they can either go for sex work business, which is also a big problem right now. Because with sex work business, it's once you go into sex work business, you are exposed to so many things. For example, you are exposed to rape because people can take opportunity to use you because they know you cannot report it to any police. Or sometimes you go for this kind of business, someone uses you but does not pay you. You have nowhere to report these cases. Syphilis, hepatitis B, hepatitis C, all these kind of diseases are very incurable, of course, with minor incidences. So these are all signs of persecutions because you have no choice. You have nowhere to go. You have nobody to talk to. You have no, I mean, you cannot do anything, but you need to survive. Some of them have been evicted from their own houses where someone is able to pay rent. But because the owner gets to know that you're gay or you're lesbian or you're bisexual or you're transgender, and because of the laws which are actually right now in space, people fear to host you or to keep you in their houses because they can actually be arrested. The only solution someone has or have no choice is just to make sure that he or she will tell you, go and leave my place. And at the end of the day, you end up in streets or you end up in drugs. Drug addiction is another problem. Smoking, taking and all these things are not good for the human health, especially in a country which is underdeveloped, a country with poor medical care, a country with poor economic status, a country with the highest rate of unemployment of young people. Some people even go as far as starting stealing. These are all signs of persecutions. This is actually what is killing the young population of the gay and lesbian community. And to make matters worse, even when they get jobs and the employers get to know who they are, the employers get to know that they are gay people, they are also sacked from their jobs. So you find that when someone gets all this, you get sacked, even if you have your qualifications, you've been working, you've been so hard working, but because of your sexual orientation and gender identity, someone fires you, and you will have nowhere to go. You cannot go to the Ministry of Labor to claim for your right to employment. You cannot do it because of the bad laws. At the same time, also still, if many people like this have gone through a lot of trauma, because now the next thing you have to decide either to live here or you to kill yourself, or to find a way elsewhere. But it's not easy. So you look at abroad, as far as abroad probably is concerned, to go and seek for asylum. When you reach there, the immigration also asks so many questions because they are not believing who you are. You have to prove the immigration. You have to tell them exactly why are you there. And there are machines actually, which there are no machines which cannot determine whether you are gay or not gay. So, and this is a double trauma in someone. So these are all kind of persecution elements people face in Africa, not only in Africa, but I also seen even in western part of the world, like for example in Latin America. Also, I've seen some people have been suffering here and there, and probably I also assume somewhere in Europe as well. I'm happy about probably Denmark because with good governance and democracy, people are respected in the way they are in respect of their sexual orientation and gender identity, that people are treated, which is not a scenario in Africa, in Uganda. And the worst part of it, we're talking about and we. The thing is about ignorance, culture, religion. And most of these things are actually insinuated by the religious leaders who come on the street and actually begin telling people that they should take the law by its hand and begin hanging the homosexuals, beating them. People have been beaten in bars, people have been beaten in restaurants. Practically myself have been beaten as well many times. But the beauty about me is just because I am a top activist and I am actually a bit known. So even when people harass me, but at least at the end of the day, they know that I am known and I know where to go. I know how to report. But just imagine someone who is out there in the village in upcountry, which is about 8 hours drive by bus with bad roads. This kind of a person cannot even report this kind of matters to any authorities. So these are so many things we go through and we face on our daily life. Unlike in Denmark, where people are free to go to school, people are free to mingle with gay and community, people are not this at all. First of all, you are discriminated. You cannot be given equal treatment like any other person. They will be asking you questions: who is your girlfriend, or who is your husband, or who is your wife? And all these things cannot apply to a community. So at the end of the day, you find that people will actually bypass you. You will not be given proper treatment like another person. If they're to give you treatment, probably they can even give you drugs which are a bit expired. So you find all these many gay and lesbian communities have it because we cannot be given equal treatment like another person. And yet, if you look at the Declaration of the Human Rights in the Geneva Act, where Uganda is a principal signatory, a right to health is a fundamental right. A right to education is a fundamental right. But because of the bad laws, because of lack of knowledge, because of homophobia and transphobia around people, because of taboos, traditions, cultures, religions, these things are not working in Africa. So we still remain here, struggling, surviving, but we cannot run out. We're here to fight for justice, and we will continue fighting for justice. Now, in this case, we offer a few things as an organization, as myself. Such people like this, we also try to organize them in small group and give them what they call economic empowerment. This economic empowerment, of course, is something very good, but it's not sustainable for so many reasons. One, since most of us, we do not have enough capacity to have funding to facilitate this program. And then the other thing is, even when you start this economic empowerment, again, still with the public, with the community, with the homophobic environment, people are witch hunted. And at the end of the day, things are not working. But it's still in our agenda that these are one to impact some of our young people. And I'm happy that some of you did straight. They are actually trying to move a little bit by starting being hairdressers. Paying come to providing foods to come to your shop or to come to your store or to come anywhere. People are always scared because if someone comes to you, they will think that you can also be like. So I share with you. And for the interest of time, I think I would like to hear from you because it's a learning process. I would also like to learn from you. Yeah.
Hi Sam. So we have two questions here from the students, and I just wanted to remind everybody that to turn on the question and answer, you have to click on the left-hand side of your screen. You have to click the Q&A. You click on that, and then it will come up, and then you can type the questions in to ask. So then I will then read aloud the questions to Sam. And we have one.
Just 1 minute.
Yeah, questions just for you, Sam. So you have, so they can write. Okay, so one of the questions are, it says, thank you for the very interesting talk. I wanted to ask, are there no legal protections in Uganda protecting you from being fired?
Who asked the question?
This is a girl called Sarah.
Wonderful. And yeah, actually, we do not have any legal protection here. Because, why? Because we already have bad laws within the system. If they are there, it's just on paper, but it's not active. Because you cannot go to police and report, because actually the nearest would be at a police station where you can lodge your question, or at the LC1 of the area council for the place where you are to lodge, or within the Ministry of probably of Labor where you could lodge or log in your complaint. But it's not possible simply because of the bad laws which are already there and also within the constitution. So I think what we are doing right now is basically first to fight ways out and see how we decriminalize decriminalize this kind of laws within the constitution. And this will take away long by, first of all, there should be a committee within the LGBT community, and of course with the civil society coalition, probably to work on some of the documentations, and then probably to submit to the parliamentary legal team to scrutinize it, and then probably the constitution will be amended. But as per we talk right now, there are no legal laws which actually protect the LGBTI community as far as either job security is concerned or any legal matter is concerned. It's just like what they say, everyone for himself but God for us, or that's what they believe here. But apparently we don't have. So we are suffering locally just like that.
I just have to correct myself that the question and answer although my screen it looks different from yours. And if you go into the right-hand side of yours, there should be some small boxes. And if you click on this, that is where the Q&A is. So I just wanted to correct myself, so I don't want to lose anybody asking questions. But Sam, Sam, another question.
Okay. Question and answer. Okay.
Yes. So another question was from Sarah, and she's actually asking, because you just finished and said this was very local in the fact that there's no legal protection. However, what about the surrounding countries? Do you know if it's the same for other than Uganda?
Yes, in African setting, in African context, within Africa, we are more or less the same, because most of the countries here are actually colonized by the British. These are British laws. They are not African laws. It is colony. So, however, just the scope and pace. For example, talk about the Nigeria. The difference with these countries is just the religious part of it, because Nigeria is more dominant with Muslim part of it. So this as a key tool to fight all this, what we call how do they call what we call unworthy living, kind of what's not clean, and in Islamic setting is completely different from us, and it's even much more worse than us. Whereas for us as Uganda, we are pretty much dominated by the Christians. So the Christians, why it's different from the Islamic part of it is because most Christians have become very political. And now, for anybody to win favor in order to win your vote, either in parliament or in anywhere, where also even most of the religious leaders have become members of parliament, they use this kind of elements to come in and say as an issue in order to win the vote. So this is the difference, but it's almost more or less the same. Even what is happening here, it's happening in Nigeria. What is happening in Uganda is happening in Kenya. What is happening in Rwanda, it's still happening. But now the problem is that because Rwanda is a French colony, so there is much more tolerant who are the French. The French saying they try to do it, but then they still have the aspect of saying this is an African issue. Homosexuality is not African. Are you getting it? So, but it does not take it, but at least Rwanda is a bit Rwanda. Do your things, whatever you want to do it from, but don't show us. That means that there's tolerance. It's not fully accepted, but at least because you're not even supposed to talk about it, although people can do it in separate spaces. You get it. If you go to Djibouti or probably Somalia, Ethiopia, it's actually most of these countries also practice death penalty or even mob justice. So it's still the same, just because people believe in African as part of it, and on the other side is some of these laws are British laws. So we just copy and paste. I hope I answered it.
Yeah, no, thank you, Sam, for answering the question so clearly. We have some more questions coming in. We have one from Carla, who's in Germany, and she says, how many LGBT persons are getting imprisoned, and how do you deal with this?
Yeah, thank you very much, Carla. You know, that's a very good big question. Like in my presentation from the beginning, and always I do this, you know, it's not about getting arrested and that is persecution. No, like I mentioned so many things. Persecution means a lot. Thrown from school, persecution. Rejected by family, persecution. By the to church is also persecution. Being rejected by friends, relatives, and the neighbors around you is all persecutions. You cannot move freely in an environment where you don't seem to understand whether your life is safe or not. It's also persecution. However, the arrests are quite minimal. We had a lots of pressure. We have been working left and right. Like I said before, I have been sitting in Geneva for the we have been trying to teach the definition and free LGBT. I'm also the French, the US, and the UK, and the Swedish, and the Norwegians, and the rest. We've been working very closely. So there has been pressure from the developed partners. And in that case, it has actually reduced the arrest. But people are still persecuted because there is a lot of blackmail coming in here and there. Because once you get to know who you just play that game behind you, and probably you can even be arrested. You can be taken to the police, where you can be kept until you get to pay of days, and sometimes you don't the information until you produce clip. And then we have few cases actually which has been the Sam Kanafa was arrested to prison. He stayed in prison for 2 months. And then there is also someone called Kesa was also arrested, was taken to prison for 2 months. And then there was Arthur, was also arrested, was also taken to police cells for 2 weeks. But then these are cases which come, and then when you try to intervene, and by the time we get to know and we intervene on it, and then of course the developed partners, the embassies coming, and then the government. Within the constitution, there's what they call unless someone has been proven guilty, and then someone is a criminal. So someone has a right to bail, you know. So in most cases, people get out of bail, and then in most cases, then you can keep reporting to police, or reporting to court until further notice. But the cases are there, but they are a bit minimal.
Sam, your internet's been cutting out a little bit. So I think we were able to catch some things, but not everything. So hopefully your internet will get a little bit better for the next question that's coming in. And the question is, what are your hopes for the future for the LGBT community in Uganda? And what will it take to achieve them?
Yeah, my hopes are actually, I am still very optimistic that in the nearby future, things will work, but it still takes a little bit of time. Because you see, Jerusalem was not built in one day. Jerusalem was built in many, many years. The same thing in Netherlands or Denmark or Germany. They did not fight for the right of the LGBT. Hope is there, and I'm still working on it. That's why I'm still living in Africa. Otherwise, I would have also gone to Denmark, where there's a lot of freedom or anything. But the hope is there. And I think I'm very proud that there's a step ahead that we have seen. Like now that there's a lot of negotiations going on here and there. And some embassies or some countries. Oh, hello.
Sam? Oh. It looks like, unfortunately, we have lost Sam. So I hope that he will join us again. But I can see one of the questions is actually for Humanity in Action, who asks, do you have plans to continue working with LGBT gender and identity issues in the future? And what projects are in store next? And actually, we are. This is only one of the things that, one of the first projects that we have had, Humanity in Action Denmark, to do with gender and identity. But one of the next projects that we're hoping to work on is similar to what we did this year, with bringing 6 activists for 2 weeks to Copenhagen. And the idea is that this time it will be focused with Eastern Europe. So it's a different area of the world, but there are still very important gender identity issues, particularly with LGBT, and what are the next steps, and what can we learn from them? And that was the whole reason that we have had the 6 activists come to Copenhagen from Uganda, like Sam. You hear him and he speaks so proudly of his work, and he's optimistic, as he says, and he says, as Jerusalem wasn't built in a day, he needs to be fighting for the next issues. And so that's one of the next projects that we will be doing, and we are still continuing contact with all of our activists, and I know that we have learned a lot, and I think it's important that we have, for example, this online course to talk about the gender identity. And I know that we have been talking with our groups on the Thursday activity hours, and we've learned a lot from each other, because we have students from around the world and who themselves are sometimes struggling with some of these LGBT issues, which are very current. And it's very important because, as Magnus and Lars said in the first week, LGBT rights are no different from human rights. They are the same. They are equal, and that's what it's about. And that's what all the activists are fighting for. There is no different. And so that's why we're continuing these projects. And this is why everyone has to do their bits, and also to understand the different gender identity issues and take the right steps so that LGBT rights are equal to human rights. And that's what it's about. There is no but in that question. And unfortunately, it doesn't look like Sam is able to join us again. Otherwise, there was another interesting question saying, do you have lots of contact with NGOs and other organizations who work for gay rights in Uganda, and what do they use and do they find them effective? Unfortunately, I can't answer for Sam, but I do know that he does work with other LGBT organizations. That's what he spoke about when he was here in Copenhagen, and we can presume that this is still the case. However, next week we will also have our 2 Kenyan activists who will be live, and hopefully we will have less technical issues. So we will be live at the correct time, and you will all be able to ask questions again. And I think I can just try to get hold of Sam again, but unfortunately I think that he may have lost his internet. I know that in Kampala the internet is not quite as reliable as here in Copenhagen. So I will just see if I can get hold of him. Otherwise, 2 seconds. It looks like Sam is joining us. Great, Sam.
Sorry?
You're joining. That's wonderful. I thought maybe you had lost internet. I've been talking too much.
It
should be talking.
It went. Yeah, like I told you, I had a substitute.
That's wonderful. So now I have another question for you, which is, do you have a lot of contact with NGOs or other organizations who work for gay rights in Uganda? What methods do they use, and how do you find them effective?
You have quite, we had quite a number of organizations here, but when the law came in, first of all, most of them, because of the law, they would withdraw all the certificate for registration to operate, and then they completely shut down. So we have actually, apparently, we have very few, not more than 10, which are actually very vibrant. And then also the other thing is most of these organizations we are quite very small, so they could not sustain simply because they did not have funding. And also, as you know, most funding actually went out of space. So all these small NGOs which are working for the rights of LGBTI closed down, except now the few. Now the few which are still there, we are still doing very well with our work. We still do a lot of networking within ourselves. We encourage more of building allies, working with other human rights organizations, for example, like Eastern Horn of Africa Human Rights Project, Defenders Project. We also work with what they call DPI, which is the Defenders Protection Initiative. We also work with organizations like Global Rights Alert, which is basically dealing with not LGBT organization, but it's a feminist organization. We also work with an organization called ICC Wiki. It's also for the feminist movement. Akina Mama Africa is also for the feminist movement. And then there are many other organizations which are actually coming up. And in the Rwenzori region, we have other organizations like RichNet. It's a human rights organization, but based in the Rwenzori region. It's a network of about 40 organizations. So the most important here is we do not work alone in order to achieve our goal, but we make sure that we work with other organizations, including feminist movements, and then straight organizations, human rights organizations in general, organizations working for the HIV/AIDS health issues directly. But we do not, those other organizations do not come out to work with us. To work with would say and but so formed a coalition which was called Civil Society Coalition, Civil Society on Constitutional Right. And this coalition was formed basically to fight all this law, ending, pornography, you know, all so closely in terms of issuing statements. And then also we are working very closely with them in terms of dialoguing and consultation. So this is how actually we are growing a bit more stronger because we have few allies who are working with us apparently. But of course, there's still more time we need to put in place in order for us to get a greater number of organizations to fight against homophobia, to fight against transphobia, to fight illiteracy, and also to make sure that is it empowering people through production of literature and so forth and so on. Then people can get more information other than basing on assumption. Yeah.
Thank you, Sam. Unfortunately, your internet keeps cutting out, so I don't know how much, you know, it keeps cutting out. And I can see that one of our students has written and saying that she's also having difficulties hearing you because unfortunately the sound keeps cutting out. So I was just wondering whether you could sum up maybe in a couple of sentences what you have spoken about today, and then we can finish the talk, which has been so interesting and so informative. But it's just a shame the internet just seems to be, we just seem to be losing you at your end.
I think that I have had the opportunity to speak to I don't know, and this is really, really good for so and I very to find men who are much more willing to support in any way by asking these questions, give you an idea on how you can move forward, on how you can get the energy, and how sure are you that you're achieving something. But just to say something probably on been speaking a lot of things. I talked about what we do and how we do. I talked about persecutions in general. What is it all about? Not basically for people to think about going to be arrested or being in prison, but like I have said, so many number of things that persecutions has covered a lot of things. Even just you sitting alone and not being sure of what that you being taken, you can work that you be. So I look say it's very, very important this kind of discussions they actually put across good for humanity in action, and probably also maybe other people can come on board, and then we can contact this kind of conversations quite a lot online. First of all, I wouldn't imagine that I would have this kind of a course online at this time. For me, I would think very imaginable. Like, I am in Africa, I am in Uganda, where we don't have good network, we don't have internet, we don't have. Sometimes there's no electricity. The computers are not actually scrapped. You cannot get information. But I'm glad that for the small time we have been in, however much it was breaking here and there, but I feel that I have actually done quite a big part of my lecture, and the few who have been there to wait for us. I'm so happy that. Thank you very much for your time, for waiting as we are trying to fix things here and there. I do hope that probably next time this will work much better. We will get much more organized and then see that everything has to be in place. And probably I think I might be in Europe where the internet is actually very good. So I think we will have a very good audience and also a very good time to participate. And I would like to, I would like to say that. I don't know if there is anything more they would like to ask me. I still have more time. In Uganda, for us, Africa time is not a problem. I don't know about you. Yeah, in Europe, time is always a problem, you see. But for me, I still have more time. Yeah.
I like African time, but I think a lot of people are in Europe time, because I think they have, I think they are needing to get on to the next thing that I think is getting late. So I think many of the students will be having to head to bed and start ready for the next day tomorrow. So I just want to say thank you so much, Sam, for rounding up and for being with us from Uganda, and having such an interesting lecture. I really think that a lot of people have really gotten something out of it, and I look forward to discussing with our students on Thursday about it. And next week we will have our activists from Kenya who will be speaking, and the same time Tuesday, and this is very exciting. So I want to say thanks very much, Sam, and goodbye, everybody.
Yeah, thank you very much as well. Thank you for your time, and thank you for listening to me. I would say goodbye and schlaf gut for those who speak German, and then gute Nacht.
Bye.
Bye.